probably tell us. So
Just leave
we
me.
are live.
Oh, wait, what?
Yeah, we just live right now. Normally there is a couple second delay on the YouTube.
Hello, internet.
Cool. So good evening, good day, whatever you are. Nice to see everyone again. You want to say hello, James?
Hello, James.
Concentrate. Cool. So today we're gonna have the guys from Animade. So I'm gonna play the show reel before I introduce you guys so they can see the work. I think everyone knows Animade pretty well, but it's always good. You guys, how long is the new show reel? But you guys just launched that, no?
I suppose so. It's like it's about 30 to 40 seconds. We wanted something short. It was like a new work reel. So
okay, cool.
More of here's some stuff we've been doing because we've been quite busy over the last year and we haven't actually done any kind of posting of any sort. We are still alive. So it's a reel to prove it.
Nice. So let me just connect to that. Give me 1 second, everyone. Sure. All right. So you guys should be able to see now. Let me. Nice.
Very nice.
Cool. Oops, sorry.
Rewind.
Wrong button. Done. Stop sharing. Cool. So tonight we have Animade. So can you guys introduce each one and just say?
We can go from left to right.
We can go to
left.
Come on.
Okay, we got on the left.
Thomas, that's you, Thomas, first.
Okay.
Oh, that's my left, not your left.
Oh, James.
All right, you go first.
Who's up? Come on.
My name is Ed Barrett. I am ECD and co-founder here at Animade.
Beautiful.
Over to you, Jen.
Thanks. Oh, you spoiled it. I'm Jen. I'm the managing director and co-founder at Animade.
And I'm Tom, and I'm another ECD and co-founder at Animade. And that is us. We have a couple of animators in the studio as well. So if you hear any like standing ovations,
or heckles,
it will be them.
Make some noise.
Perfected. There we go.
That's good. What was the real people there, or just you guys prepared the sound effect?
Yeah, I think it's a soundboard.
Yeah, that's right. I've got my phone just off the screen. I'm just pressing make some noise.
But thank you for having us. This is great. And we were reminding the rest of the team, Ed and I did this live 10 years ago in Cafe 1001.
Yeah.
I got reminded today because when you look at your Facebook memories to try and convince people you've not got Alzheimer's, it appeared on there. Yeah,
we were, and that was one year in. I have no idea what we would have shared, having only been 1 year.
We had party poppers.
There were party poppers. We had hats. We've grown up. We've really grown up. Ooh, exactly. Ish. But yes.
Yeah, 10 years. We turning. This is next week is gonna be our 13th anniversary. So you guys were really in the beginning. Yeah. Where was that? Was Cafe 1001?
Yeah. That was
we did like the first year at Bodie Gallery or East London Gallery, where it's called, on Brick Lane. Then we did second year at was it City Arts and Music's project, which is now closed down and is now Expensive Flats.
Yeah.
And then we found Cafe 1001. Oh, we did Kick Bar as well, of course. And
we went to Kick Bar. Yeah, that's why I thought maybe it was a Kick Bar.
Oh, the downstairs
Yeah. Those ones. Yeah. Wow. The 10th years is quite a long time. I probably have you guys filming. I'm gonna try find the tape but
Please don't.
No, dude.
Sent to you guys.
I was terrified at how fresh-faced we looked.
He looks young.
I mean, the very, very harsh red light helped, I think, just to
It
flatten
did,
everything.
Yeah. The
What I need
lights
right
are
now,
amazing.
please. Can I have some more?
Think
of
of all
that?
the wisdom now, though.
Oh, good.
So
Thanks for my
wise.
wisdom.
I wonder if you could do like a reverse makeup advert kind of thing, where you've got like what you used to be like and what you are now, and it's like client amendments for men and women.
Yes. Client amendments, children, all sorts.
So how long in total? So you guys, what, 11 years now as Animade?
Yeah. If you count the scraggly first years of us not really knowing what we were or what we were doing, so yeah, it's probably about 11, nearly 12 years in total.
Does it feel like 11 years, or has it gone past quite quickly?
Very quickly. I mean, looking at that was pretty scary, seeing that photo of us back then. And yeah, it's hard to, we did a really good, we did a lot of strategy this year. And one part of that was doing a bit of a look back and chronological, what happened during each year. And that was quite good, because without doing that, everything just merges into one big lump of existence.
Like when you think back how you were like 10 years ago or 11 years ago, do you think you've achieved what you set out to achieve back then? Like your goals? Did you have goals, or was it just like...
I would suggest there was a plan at the very beginning.
There was no semblance of a plan, right?
No, there isn't. No, I think I'm very happy with where we've kind of ended up, and there's been lots of pivoting and changes of direction. I guess like Animade, what we have got to now has been, we've ended up pushing in that direction and leaving some other things behind, which has been quite interesting. And I mean, business plan wise, we never really wrote anything down until 2 years ago. And even now, that's very scrappy.
Not true.
We did write a lot
true.
of things down, but we never. Yeah, I think. Right back
well, if you don't write stuff down, you can't say that you failed or anything, can you? So it's like it's all right.
Exactly. Yeah, that's really not true. But in the first 2 years, we didn't.
No,
when Jen came on board, we then started.
We left the darkness. We came into the light. Organization.
Yeah, strategy. Appraisals. They all started.
Shush you.
all the fun stuff.
Yeah.
So it's really, I don't know, just looking the like mini new show reel you guys post, there is quite unique different things that I didn't expect to see come from Animade, because Animade, as I think everyone through the years, you guys have that style we always see is Animade, and then, like, watching this mini reel, there is some different style going on there. Also, there is the Lego one, is not something you expect to see on your work. So how that happened? You guys trying to, just try different things, or you guys, just the way Animade's been developing, like just growing?
It's an interesting question, because I think certainly from our perspective, there's always been a little bit of a variety. Obviously, it's kind of reflective of the size, I guess. Like, you could probably look at the growth of Animade and lay it out on a lovely little gradient and plot the projects along the way, and starting to see the variety build. Because obviously at the start, there was very few of us working on these projects. And then as this amazing team has grown and we've had more creatives join alongside an amazing production team, they bring their styles in, and where we can, because obviously sometimes you're bound by a style that comes in with a project, so you work to that style. But in those incidences when we don't, then it's sort of, you start to see those different aesthetics coming through. So I think that there has been, I would like to think, a general variety kind of building. That said, I think that before obviously the last couple of years, we're really close knit in the team, and via osmosis, I think everyone feeds off each other, and maybe there's an alignment there, and people that come to the studio see the work and maybe something resonates with them, so therefore maybe that's kind of, it's in their wheelhouse to kind of produce something that feels akin to work we've done in the past. But I think that really, because it has been a mad couple of years for us, and we were, I guess, to a certain extent, not because we were so busy, I don't think we were necessarily sharing loads of stuff. And now that we're in a position that we're kind of really reeling from that, and that show reel was part of a campaign to be like, oh, we really need to show some new stuff that we've been working on over the last year or so. That's now showing through more prominently, I suppose.
Yeah, and with Lego, I mean, as an example, when you mentioned that wouldn't necessarily expect that to be something from Animade. I think even a few years ago when we were doing there was a lot more 3D that we were doing and putting out there, a lot of play projects that we were doing that were 3D and in that space. And I think with a brand like Lego, the agency we're working with, they're highly unlikely. That's such a joyful, playful brand, which for us feels completely Animade, and it's all character, and it felt so aligned, and it just felt like actually quite really a natural collaboration for us that felt, I know the energy in the team, and we've got a really good relationship with those teams now, and it's incredible, and it just feels completely us. And it's lovely being able to collaborate with some really incredible freelancers as well to help hone that 3D talent and expand that team and that capability in the studio. But I think that really is us as well. I think that really captures the heart of Animade.
Yeah, it's one of those brands that just feels like, super creative, that you can just put your ideas in and they'll just get it. You don't have to try too hard to sell your idea. It's like, okay, just try it. That's the impression I get anyway.
Yeah, there's something really compelling for us about that brief as well, because the project that you saw in that reel, they came to us saying, obviously, this is the framework of what we want, is the myriad of deliverables, but we were able to bring our creativity to the motion and the story, the way that each short unfolded. But that brief to say, you're working within the confines of the bricks, you can't bend the bricks, you can't do anything that the builds can't do, but still they wanted something that felt really characterful, that moved really, really well. And it's just, I think Animade's mantra is just that. It's imbibing anything with incredible life and design through motion, setting a bar there and making sure that we're delivering it. And with a project like Lego, it's like, it's not like we're bringing much design to the table. Obviously there's things that we consider and we can bring, but for the most part you're dealing with these products, but it's the life you put into it. And I think that's really the focus, and that's why it's such stuff like that is a great project for us.
Did they send you any bricks to play with? Like, because I imagine they probably sent you a crap ton.
Where is it?
I think
it's in the back of the studio.
There's a room.
Unless some people have taken it home.
I believe they sent us some glue together.
Oh yeah, they're all glued
because
together.
they didn't trust us.
Don't lose them.
Please don't unbuild these and turn them into something else and say that you don't have them anymore.
It was a bit too much like the Lego movie with the Kraken.
It really
Yes.
is. Craggle.
Kraken.
Way to go.
Mixing your mythology.
Yeah, I'm too well read.
Yeah, it's really nice to see. There is that Animate that on the character bring to life. You guys always kind of focus all around character, and you can see that on the Lego. But I think, as you said, because we didn't see much through the last couple of years, the last year, so it wasn't something you expect. Suddenly give all together and suddenly, whoa, there's something new there,
But we have been busy.
Yeah, I know, yeah.
When I sent you guys the emails, I half expected it to bounce.
Yeah. I mean, it's been a crazy couple of years, and I think it, when thinking about the start of the pandemic and not knowing what was on the cards, suddenly being remote, thinking it was going to be 2 weeks. It's just crazy. And then actually getting busier during the pandemic to the point that we were hiring, and I don't think we would all fit back in the studio now. It's lots of twists and turns.
So how has you found the kind of pandemic changed your process or the way you tackle animation? What are you kind of hiring more remote people as well?
I mean, yeah, we're still trying to. I think now that we're back and it's hybrid, I'm trying to figure out moving or just trying to pull back some efficiencies is a major priority, because we had everything purring. We were, before the pandemic, we had the server properly set up. I think it'd been several years in the making, getting everything to a really good point, finally getting good internet, you know, all the things that we really need.
Psych.
Yeah. And then it's like, okay, go and work from home. And because of that endless extension of the time being remote, you never knew at what point to really double down and plan for that remote working. So I think we were quite lucky through it that we weren't doing, I think we did, I mean, up until the Lego projects, most of the projects were quite lightweight, nothing too render heavy. So I think there was nothing that really pushed us into a very quick kind of workflow.
That transition to remote working felt, you know, relatively quite painless, really.
Yeah.
We did sort of, I remember doing a sort of test day before we fully had to go remote. And we're like, yeah, and we did it and we survived and we sort of fixed some stuff. And there were definitely some, you know, teething problems in the beginning, but actually, given we'd been fully in the studio to go completely remote, I feel like the whole team handled that incredibly.
And we were anti-remote before as well, to a certain degree. Like, we were all about everyone. We want everyone in the studio. We want to foster this culture of just being.
Quite a few studios had a similar mentality in that regard.
Yeah, I mean, definitely.
But it's and then completely switched.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, and the other thing was we would always prefer freelancers to be in the studio as well. And now I think it's given us a lot more flexibility, and it's suddenly, so there's some major like silver linings to the.
Do you feel it's made made the company stronger overall in terms of you can hire more talent from different places, and now you can deal with people working remotely much easier in terms of your pipeline and creative and production as well, I guess?
I mean, definitely with the freelancers, and
it's opened up more opportunities, and the not being bound to location, I think, is actually a really positive thing. So as Tom says, it's sort of out of something that has been a little bleak, to say the least. There are at least some silver linings there.
I do think there's still an adjustment in terms of sort of that experience of coming up when the studio is busy. That's very special. And I think there is a period that we're still going through of adjusting back into this hybrid way of working that we're choosing, because studios can choose whatever they want now, right? I know founders that are choosing for everyone to be back in 4 days a week, and they can opt to work Fridays. Some are fully remote, some gave up their studios over the pandemic. So we made a decision that we really want to keep this space for that collaboration and creativity. It's really important. And I think we're still in a kind of transition stage of what that looks like you can feel the energy when everyone's in. We've seen more and more project teams recently coming in together, which has been really lovely. Retros and stuff, we're going to start doing more in person, which I think that will be great. But I think we're still in a little bit of a figuring out how much. I think so.
And not forcing it. I think that's the other thing, because I mean, there's, as we saw, we were trying to get back in last September, whenever that was that, or the September before last? Oh my
Time
God.
has no meaning.
September 2020.
There was a point when we were trying to get back.
September.
When we thought everything was fine in 2020 September, and then it all happened again. Yeah. And I think it was a really good. We learned from that. Like, trying to force things too heavily.
I saw quite a good meme picture of I think it was like Scrooge peering out a window, like classic picture from and just shouting, "You boy, what variant is this?" That's very good.
Love it.
Yeah, it was very much that at the time. Getting all excited, all G'd up, getting everyone else G'd up. We're going back. No, we're not.
Nope. So I guess the question on most people's lips is, what's the next step for Ready Steady Bang?
Yeah, I mean, that's the big one.
I'm looking out for the 8K PS5 version, to be honest. VR integration.
I was going to say, skip that. Let's get to VR.
Yeah,
AR.
We are actually we're trying to. Well, we are going to do something this year. I mean, that's 10 years. So
Wow.
it feels like it's strange when you get a tweet directed to you saying, "What's up with this game? Why isn't it working?" And you're like, "What game? Oh, that one that we made 10 years."
Technology has changed since then.
I know, but it's amazing that people
attention spans haven't.
Yeah.
So yeah, we do want to get those back like working, and we managed. Ed and I had a call with Guy, who's the developer that we had on the second game. And he's very kindly going to help us out getting them refreshed and working for current phones. And
that's that Guy Morehouse, is that right?
Yeah. Oh no, sorry. Guy Kogas was our game developer. We did work with Guy Morehouse on our website last year. But
cool.
Yeah, it would be lovely to get them back working. I mean, it's one of those things where we just don't. Back in those days, we had a company called Cowboy Games that we had the games published under. So they're kind of Animade, but not. And we just want to do a bit of housekeeping and get everything under Animade again. And
beginning of
the Cowboy back in.
That year before everything happened in terms of the pandemic, I went out to give a talk at Movo, and part of that was, the whole point was around play. So obviously we did a talk and it heavily involved the Cowboy, and there was a live playing and stuff. And it was just bonkers to have got to that point where not only has the game been around for ages and it's dropped off the services because it's not aligned to the tall phones anymore. People were still saying, "I love this game. I didn't know you did this." So when we were sort of working out our sort of strategy for the next 10 years, this conversation of like, we really should try to bring that back in and like work out that that's an Animate thing. This isn't this sort of.
I mean, it had a really good following from what I remember, like back in the day.
Yeah.
It was back when there was probably about 10 games on the App Store,
and that's what.
And I don't know, we didn't obviously make our millions there, but it has got a following, and it's been, I think as well, it's like it was the first thing that we ever did, and it spanned the like birth of Animade. Like we were making it during that time, and I think it has all those things that, looking at our strategy and what we want to take forward as a company, just really ring true in terms of motion, character, simplicity of design, not really getting too caught up in, obviously we hugely care about aesthetics, but really making sure the principles of motion are at the forefront of everything we do. I think it's all the stuff that we were teaching and talking about at that time, they're so easy to forget about, and it's just there in the Cowboy.
Yeah, it became the bedrock. And we, for loads of years of talking about it, we'd always talk about that character. And I think that now we're looking at sort of this idea of IP and being really proud of everything, within those kind of projects that we create. But being like, this is really great. We shouldn't just do stuff and then chuck it away in that way. It should be like, this is great IP that we have. And so it felt like a good place to start, to be like, well, let's bring that back in. And then it's all part of this focus of like working out who we are. All the little tendrils that kind of split off and maybe didn't go places, but then maybe blossomed into other things in other ways along this last 10 years. I think it's been really nice for us to kind of grab at them all and be like, let's sort of siphon them into something, push them into the future. And it does still, that realization of this bedrock thing is still really important. So let's have that there and then build upon that in terms of these things that we create.
Yeah, we know that interactive is something alongside the storytelling and more traditional linear formats that we want to do. So I think getting Cowboy Games back into Animade, and then the other things that we're looking at just fits really nicely with where else we're interested in exploring. So
yeah, it'd be interesting to see where you take it with after like 10 years of experience and what have you, and like almost like a new set of eyes looking at it, like picking the parts that you really like about it. And like whenever I think of Animade, it's always a nice simplicity, like Ed was saying, it's really hard to get right as well. Like simplicity just looks easy, but it's not,
It's a lot more hard.
Yeah. But it'd be interesting to see where you take it.
Yeah.
It will.
It was. Yeah, that's a lot of pressure.
On pressure,
Just no loot boxes, okay?
Oh.
We had, We were thinking of doing like a really, well, VR would be hilarious with a ridiculous cowboy.
Keep it in.
Nothing else.
There
Just
was
white.
a 3D prototype at one point with pills, wasn't there? And little guns.
Yeah, we got halfway there. I mean, it's the realization that it would be crap, but
yeah,
I think it could have a really great nostalgic quality to it. Like, do you remember like back in the early 90s where you had like those VR machines, like massive headsets and super bulky, and there was one game where you could shoot somebody with like a little bolt, and it was really low poly type stuff. But I think that could be like a really interesting way to take the cowboy when it's like that kind of pared back aesthetic.
Yeah,
it obviously intentional. I think it could look really quite cool.
Everyone's going for the super slick photoreal renders and we're just chucking
walking in the other
couple
direction.
of, yeah, exactly.
Those guys are fools.
Yeah. Yeah. Very exciting.
How many staff are you guys now?
We're about 30.
30.
Yeah, it's like a 50-50 split of creative and amazing client services, producers, account managers, marketing and operations. So yeah, nice even split.
That's nice. Yeah. And do you see, just like getting back to the subject, because of these 2 years of COVID, like a pandemic, we had like, at least in UK, we're getting kind of back normal, especially with the war and Boris, no one talks about COVID anymore.
Yeah, New See No Evil show on Tuesday.
Yeah. But it's something I think the industry suffer quite a lot with, like student wise, it's been like kind of 2 years, like for people like getting internships and things like that. It just like, it's kind of pose the whole industry, like I think like for people start on the career, it's something you guys seeing back, to start getting like interns, like having people to, visit you guys as a studio, like things like that, just how, like you guys seeing that getting back to normal, like, because a lot of students ask me questions, like, just ask advices, how they can get to know more studios and everything. We have like a group of students come this Friday in the studio, and like they've been saying it's been really hard, like in university through like this last 2 years because of pandemic. They just always asking, like what studios think about, if everything's getting normal and people getting intern again,
Yeah.
This actually links into a question in the YouTube channel where they said, what advice do you give juniors starting out in the industry? I think it's combine the two with one answer.
Yeah. Do you want to take that, Jen? I'll start. I think that the one thing, and we found it through, we from the point of the pandemic and going remote from that point, we haven't yet got back to taking interns on. And I think we also found a massive shift in the way, just as a studio, that we're working. And we were always so about the mentorship, the teaching. It was just, in every studio, it's part of the process, like looking over the shoulder, seeing things, quick, asking somebody next to you a question, all of those things.
It's also a two-way street as well, because if you've got someone with fresh eyes, it's a collab of ideas, isn't it? They take something from you, you get something from them.
Yeah, and then suddenly that not being there, and you're only connecting when a meeting is scheduled, and so trying to re-engage with that, knowing that we're going to still be hybrid, so there will be time in the studio, but we also need to really push to have as much collaboration in a remote setting as possible as well. So doing more like video screen shares and recordings, and trying to engage with especially the juniors on the team, so that they're experiencing as close to what before the pre-pandemic situation was, because it's just that level of learning and experience. Getting that in a remote setup is so much more difficult, and I think with even harder for, as you say, the students who have come out of university in that time, because there's just not those opportunities to even get in. And so many of our staff will come up through internships, and it's definitely something we're looking to rekindle and get working again, because it's really important for the industry and everyone, really.
Yeah, it's been really, I think it's been hard. I mean, this whole time, last couple of years has been hard for everyone for many reasons, but I think for specifically within our industry and for juniors, I think it's been really tough, in terms of what you said, everything you said, of just that learning. And I think also, especially when you join a company and you're in a situation where, as much as we kind of, we've been in it from the beginning, but when people join and they get a sense of coming into the studio and the space and seeing people, and you can tell people, we're open, come feedback, we want feedback from you. It's very easy to say and mean, but for someone fresh in first job out, that's tough to believe if you're not seeing these people every day and connecting with them every day, or sharing a coffee or a drink or a laugh or whatever it might be. So I think it's been really hard for the juniors in Animade, and I'm sure in other studios as well. It's something we're really looking with this move to hybrid of how we can do more and enable more of that learning and development, and again, encouraging people in the space and choose the space where they can learn from more experienced members of the team. We've been doing, while we haven't been doing internships, we have had people and senior members of the team volunteer for helping out on She Drew That, which was an incredible sort of setup focused on supporting women entering the creative industry. And I know Frida and another one of our team volunteered to do that and mentored and looked at portfolio reviews and things. So I know that we've got other things that we're doing to try and help support those people entering the industry. But it's hard, and we've signed up to CLIP as well, which is the Creative Lives in Progress, that it's nice that run, and that's incredible. Oh, yeah. They're doing so much, and I think it's trying to find other ways during that time that we could support when we didn't feel that we could give an intern that support they needed. So it's something we definitely want to start up again.
So who, I have to admit, I've not heard of She Drew That. Is that who runs that then? Is that a new thing, or am I just stuck in?
No, it's a monthly meetup. I think it started out as a monthly meetup for freelance women in animation, and it's grown into a multi sort of platform community, and they're basically combating gender equality that's in the creative industry and in the animation industry today. And the review that Frida and Yukari attended, I think, was specifically aimed at Black women and women of color who'd recently graduated and just wanted advice on how to get the most out of their existing portfolios. And how many sessions did you do? 3 sessions. She's here. But yeah, so it's incredible what they're doing. But yeah, there's other ways that we can obviously support, which is, we're trying to find those ways. And that's something we encourage within our team to flag. That was something Frida raised, and it's like, we should do this. And yeah.
Just looking at it now, it's a really nice innovative.
Yeah, that's really nice, because I think, I don't know, it's just seemed like the last 2 years seems like we lost a little bit. It's just nice to see other things coming up as well, because it just feels, I think for us as more senior, it's more to adapt the situation, but for the young people coming, it's still fresh, it's still trying to find their base, and it's quite hard. I think a lot of people is missing the exchange we have on the studio, and it's like Tom said, it's time to have just like the meeting call, how we can help and develop a little bit further.
Yeah, it's getting it right, and it's so strange because I think even before pandemic, I think, and thinking back to when I was out of university, and it seemed anyway that all of these studios were just behind these closed doors and trying to get in there. It's like, how do I get in there? Was
it not a doorbell?
Yeah, I mean, you would have thought so, but then there's somebody at the door just saying, "You've got an appointment."
Barrett again.
I just love doing that. But I don't know, like we did try to exercise as much of an open doors policy as we could, and we loved having like students coming in here, and we gave talks. And I mean, I'm hopeful that all of that stuff will come back again.
You guys used to host, didn't you used to host talks at your studio once in a while too?
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
And that's something that we'd very much like to re-engage with. In fact, it was something when we were talking about the 10-year plan, is like, just doing more of that. despite kind of pandemic times.
And that was something that came out of the pandemic as well. The All Ears talk series that we run, and it's that's helped us. I think it was finding those ways to bridge certain gaps whilst we were remote, and that was certainly a way that we could give back to the community and try to keep some of that spirit alive during that time, because I think with the way we've grown as a studio, there's always been a kind of bubbling away of this, like the interaction with the community, the way that we tried out various things. We ran several source events back in the day, which were the live events. The idea of getting All Ears to a live venue is really exciting, and finding ways to pull all that into a more open world is really cool. So.
It's everything we were missing over the last 2 years, and our incredible producer Zach and several other members of the team have been. Oh, he's really like, shut up, Jen. He compares it, and it's beautiful. Like it's come together really nicely. We actually, if any of you listening are saying, what's All Ears? There's one this Thursday with the incredible award-winning animation director, Katie Wang. So you need to make sure you search it and join us, because she's incredible. She studied at Kingston University, and she went on to screen her university film, Mind the Gap, and lots of festivals and lots of attention, and just beautiful, beautiful work. So that's this Thursday, and tickets are still available.
That's nice.
Oh, free tickets. Sorry.
Free tickets.
It's a free event, free to attend. There's an option for a donation to a charity, but other than that, it's free to attend.
James, worth to share the link on the.
Oh yeah,
so
definitely.
people can.
Do you find Animade's role in kind of the industry is not just a company, but you're kind of aiming more for like a community hub as well? Is that part of the plan?
I think doing these things and just encouraging that focus, and I mean we were reflecting on this earlier, and I think the last 2 years for us has been the most focused. I think everything stopped, and there was that moment of reflection on everything, and so all those things that you take for granted and that were just part of day-to-day Animade life, you really start to realize when they're not there, and how important they are to us and our culture and everything we were doing. So again, it's that strange silver lining to it. It gave us a chance to really understand what we were in this for, and I don't think there was a better time to really look and focus at our strategy and 10-year plan than last year, because everything was so obvious. All the things we wanted to double down on versus the things that we realize that, they're part of the job, and, they're a given, but they're not the real core of why we're in this and why we're doing this. And
it gives you perspective.
Exactly.
That you wouldn't necessarily have.
The fact that there was so much that we just started out doing and we did naturally, because the joy of getting nerdy about something and putting it out there in a way that other people can see it and react from the very start was just something that felt so natural to us. And I think that over the years pre-pandemic, we were finding ways to build on that. And as Tom pointed out, we had the source event and everything like that. And it's just getting that joyfulness that we love and then seeing it in other people. It's like fuel. And to your point, Tom, it's interesting, isn't it? Because we all went remote, and all of a sudden it was just like, well, all we can do now is work. And it was just wrong. It was, and I think that, at the start, there wasn't that thought of all of this other stuff's going to fade away. And then we got to last year and was really looking at stuff, and it's like, all that stuff did fall away. We've got to get it back. This is part of us. And I'm glad, James, that you sort of said, it's sort of something that we've always kind of, I wouldn't like, I don't want to say, we were definitely like a community hub. That's us.
New media.
I mean, but I think that it's just the community is, we love our community in the studio and we love our community outside the studio. to properly re-engage with that is going to be really important.
Yeah, I think you kind of feed off each other as well. Like, you know, if you put something out there that's nice and what have you, get a reaction, you get those endorphins, not just the likes. But I mean, it's just nice to get feedback from the people around you and your peers, and also the whole community, and give something out as well. It's quite a nice feeling. And obviously that's what I've been doing Sea Weaver for so long.
Yeah, exactly.
It's a similar goal.
Yeah.
And it's nice to see you guys talking about, like, through the pandemic, you guys start realizing, making like business planning, like just thinking where you guys gonna go. So where do you guys see, Animade in the next couple of years,
in the next pandemic?
By next pandemic, we will. It's a really good question. I think we've got some lofty plans for the 10 years, such as the Animade Ranch.
The Animade Ranch, that's my favorite one.
Very
and it has to be a cowboy ranch. It has to be.
Yeah.
Green pastures, maybe a football pitch, lots of buildings.
Just animators
Just
galloping across the across the horizon. So there's things like that which could be cool. But I think the main thing is exactly what we've been talking about, that re-engaging with those things that were so core to Animade through the last 10 years. So the exploration in the interactive space, and not necessarily gunning for that to be its own thing. I mean, we've done we're not exactly. I think it's just enjoying and embracing that area of technology, rather than thinking we're going to set up half that company to this, because we've tried so many things in the past to try and align. So I think it's just getting back to enjoying those spaces, and we've got a couple of passion projects running at the moment that kind of push into those spaces, which is really exciting.
That's nice.
Enjoying the right amount of crossover, because I think before, when really it was almost sort of two separate kind of companies, even though after a while it was all under Animade, of like the development side of things, and there was the linear animation side of things, and then occasionally there'd be these little sparks that would kind of chuck out something like Party Pooper, or the Sloth. These projects that we've done, which I think have been really successful in that wonderful amalgamation of what we hold dear with IP and linear animation into the interactive space that's not necessarily a game. And I think now we're in this, where we are now, to be like, okay, so we've learned from that, and what can we grab hold of that this is what we love. Let's focus it and move forwards with that. And I think that's what's really, really exciting for, even for the next 5 years. I mean, the plan was for the next 10 years, and it did get pretty lofty.
Yeah.
Definitely things that we think we can really achieve. But
I mean, aim for the stars.
Ranch could be a pipe dream, but if only.
Yeah.
No, it's not. It's happening.
It's definitely happening.
It's happening.
Definitely
We're doing
happening.
the ranch.
But I mean, that's the real core, and the maintaining and growing the focus on like the character and the storytelling is obviously that's one thing we need to just continue to double down on and
an
focus
important
on.
pillar.
And the idea, I think, around things these days, the client requests are getting smaller, but more of them. The deliverables lists are getting longer. I think we did 300 deliverables on this project we did last week, and it's like
all front loading.
Wow.
So the idea of again finding space to do our own things that give us a bit more opportunity to tell a story, and
doing our own series one day and things like that would be.
So that
exciting.
idea as well, like looking into again the IP route and series, again doing it for ourselves as well, though, to make sure that that any series is going to be an undertaking. So it's like making sure we're going into it for the right reasons and
doing it in a way that's going to suit us, and dreaming about that kind of like a sort of cult classic of something that's fairly contained, and maybe it's not like depending on what the platform is, does it need to be enormous? Does it need to be 50 whatever episodes long over 7 seasons? No, it doesn't necessarily. And I think, again, looking at, how we did things in the past where it was just short, snappy stuff and people really enjoy that, maybe there's something there, there's the spark of something there. So
Definitely.
yeah, and teaching as well. I think that, you know, we, you know, I personally really learned most of my animation via the Animated Survival Kit, and how great that book is and how much of an inspiration that was to me.
Man, I was really sad when he passed away.
I know, yeah, tell me about it.
Actually, I really wanted to get him on the show. I sent him an email, obviously before he passed away, to see if he'd be down for a Sino Evil chat. It'd be amazing, but I never got a reply. But then now I'm never going to get a reply.
That surprises me, actually, because I know that, well, I heard that he was quite an amiable person, always up for that sort of thing. But
Yeah, that's what I heard as well.
Yeah, maybe, you know, he was certainly quite an age. So I think, you know, but going back to that source of inspiration, I think definitely, because we've sort of touched upon it. We did like a Learns Live, and we really enjoyed doing that. And it's funny how you do these things and then you get distracted with other things. You suddenly remember, oh, we did that thing, it was really successful. Why aren't we doing more of that? So, you know, working out what we could do in that space. And again, you know, part of that being kind of, you know, whether it's tied to mentorships or whatever, it's still giving back and sharing that joy of what, as I say, that nerdiness that we love. So yeah,
I mean, that's our industry, isn't it? Being nerdy.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty much.
And it's really, I don't know, just after had a daughter, you know, watching like kids, how, because we come from a different time, you know, like you're just talking about series, you know, like have 50 episode or have 5 minutes episode, you know, kids don't watch that anymore, you know, they just like on the YouTube watch like 30 seconds and switch straight away, you know, and they want to next.
I don't know, Bluey's pretty.
Bluey is pretty good.
I think you're onto something, because obviously YouTube right now is just basically people reacting to other people's videos, right? So what if we did like an animated reaction to another animated? So we get Bluey, and then there'll be a little square in the bottom corner of another character reacting to what's going on. I think that would be a hit.
I need to vent for a minute because my daughter's really into Coco Melon. And it's the worst animation. And she's like, I want to watch Coco Melon. And I'm like, it's like the Big Mac of bloody animation. It's so bad. And like the walk cycles just piss me off by themselves.
Isn't it like connected to Jim Henson or something like that? I don't. That could be completely wrong.
He would be spinning in a really poorly rigged character in his grave.
Yeah, I mean, it is awful. It's my two are quite into it because of our next door neighbours as well. They got them into it, which. Yeah, it's very disappointing. I really wanted them to just like all this lovely stuff, Dougie, all these wonderfully crafted series, and inevitably,
I think YouTube is just killing. You know, as soon as you let they watch on the YouTube, you just like.
Yeah, I don't even know where she first saw it because she didn't see it on my bloody watch.
I think there's somebody creating kids YouTube with algorithms now that's just pumping out shapes and colors, and that's a bit.
But they even have the what called Woofy, no? It's basically a copy of the IP of Peppa Pig, you know, like made in China or Thailand, and they're being even prosecuted. But you know, it's really big. I think called Woofy. It's just basically Ace Peppa Pig, but it's a wolf. Even has the house.
It's just a spin-off with Wendy Wolf from the show.
Yeah.
You know it too well.
I do know it too well.
It's just turning into parent chat.
Yeah.
It's true.
Oh no.
Here we go.
It's a bit late in the show, but I guess we should probably ask, like, how did Animade come about, and who's responsible for your name?
You've
already answered this question 10 years ago.
Yeah.
You probably did.
But I mean, the name was, it's really simple. I think I was looking at Vimeo. I thought that's clever. They've taken video and they've changed one letter. So I did the same with Animate. And it was as simple as that. And yeah, it was a blog that I was running through uni. And then when we got to the point of thinking, let's turn the company into more of an animation focused studio, it seemed silly not to pull that in as the name. I mean, we kept the blog running for 4 or 5 years alongside the studio until we realized how much work that was, and how many those people just setting up YouTube channels, which were or Vimeo channels that were like Wine After Coffee, that were doing the job for us, and we didn't really need to do that.
We ended up just taking their posts.
Yeah, we just repost.
I'll change this word and this word, and it'll be all
Exactly.
We like this too.
Yeah, so that's pretty much.
And what did you think about Adobe change Flash to Animate?
Yeah,
so close, no?
I'm still not used to
Still
that.
call
So,
it.
yeah, we still
Confuse me with you
Still
guys quite a few
Macromedia.
times.
we haven't actually updated since still running. When was it? 2016 or something.
CS6 was the golden era.
Oh, those were the days. We could start talking about media encoder.
Yeah.
Don't do that. Not working for anyone else, like the dynamic link.
Oh, there's a question on YouTube channel from Sarah Schmidt, who says, do you have advice for studios starting out, like, you know, something you tell your younger self when you guys were beginning?
Producers are gold.
Yeah.
I think that the idea that we were trying to do everything for about a year of like doing the animation and also taking the emails and realizing and thinking it as well, hey, this is cool, this is easy, we can do everything, and then, you know, something isn't working right. You're either not animating properly, or you're not replying to the client, and the client's having a lousy time. So I think so much about the administrative setup and just really understanding how important that is to make it a studio. I mean it's the difference, isn't it, between a freelancer and a studio, is having that client care and having somewhere for the client to actually someone to talk to, and having them available.
Yes.
I think that's the kind of classic starting out mistake for a creative industry, isn't it? Like you kind of, you know, you just focus on the animation and the creative and kind of, oh, we'll get a producer later, but you kind of underestimate the amount of work the producer takes on. You know, it's a massive undertaking.
You did what we did and just thought, surely this is easy, so we can just swap it around. So one of us can assume the role as a producer, the other person can assume the role of the animator, and then inevitably
you have like a producer baton that used to pass.
Yeah, you think it's going well until, you know, finally Jen came on board, and all of a sudden things were like, oh wait, this is how it can be. Wow, that's good. You know, it's a tough thing to do, certainly if you're starting out, because that means, you know, getting help from somebody, or maybe even employing someone at that early stage. Maybe that's not something that can be done, but it's certainly something that, you know, should be considered as soon as possible. But I guess beyond that, if it's that real kind of starting out mentality, it's just, I guess a lot of it is just bravery. And I think, you know, you do like just understanding that what you're trying to do is lift the ceiling above your head. You know, like if you're in a freelance position, and this is probably maybe this is outdated because I'm thinking about to when I was a freelancer, but it feels like, you know, you get to a point potentially and that ceiling is right there, and you're like, what can I do? How can I burst through that? What can I do to push that ceiling up? And I think that's where you get these collectives forming, which then turn into a studio, because you know, you're always sort of able to achieve more as a unit, aren't you? So, you know, if you're thinking to yourself just as an individual, I'm going to be a studio now, it's like, I think you're what is it that's going to make you a studio? And more often than not, I'd say that the best thing is that collaboration. And so, you know, I'd say if it was an individual thinking they want to start a studio, you know, get in touch with a like-minded friend, and collaborate on something. And all of a sudden, being a team lifts that ceiling and lifts what you're capable of, and it just grows from there.
Yeah, it's always better to have, like, you know, multiple minds thinking about different perspectives and ways to tackle a project as well,
and being able to achieve more.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
A lot of what we do rides on being able to do something, be able to do it as well as you possibly can, but also being able to do a lot in maybe a condensed time frame. And obviously, you know, clients come to studios to be able to facilitate that, because they know that there's a team, or at least a network there, that can get a job done quickly. For some projects anyway. I mean, sometimes time isn't necessarily an object, but really I think that's being able to kind of team up and just produce something even greater than you'd be able to do on your own. That's when all of a sudden you're that collective or a studio.
Yeah. I think the other thing that is really important, whatever stage you're at, is to find other people, even if they're not animation studios or design studios, is to find other like-minded studios, and they might be across different industries doing different things, that you trust and you can build a network with. I think there's a few that I meet with on a regular basis. It's a founders group, and it's incredible. There's a huge trust there, and we come to the table and we talk about different themes that every studio, no matter what your product that you're selling, might be experiencing. And everyone is really candid and really open, and there is that transparency and trust there, and we help each other through, and we'll all be going through different, peaks or troughs on our journey. Some will be doing really well, some during the pandemic were doing really badly, but now coming through it, having the best year ever. And I think it's really helpful to find those people, even if you're starting out, who might be maybe a little bit further along on their journey, to reach out and talk to them, because it's amazing how, having gone through that, no matter what stage you are in your journey of being, running your own business, people are very happy to help and share advice, because they know how tough it is, and share information and say, oh, we've written this policy, so here's a template. And it's an amazing community, and I think there's a lot of respect for people who are taking that step.
I think sometimes people just scare a little bit to ask another studio just because it's think you're competing. But in the end of the day, I think the community is one, and you're not competing
especially
for
creative
the job.
industry.
You're not competing for the job, is what you said, Jen. Sometimes, in different positions, but everyone passed through the same problems, just asking a question, I think people get quite surprised how the industry is kind somehow as well.
Yeah, there's quite a zeitgeist question on YouTube from Cristobal Lambo Infinite. He says, what do you guys think of NFTs and CCO projects coming out?
We knew this was going to come up.
Oh God,
I can't ignore a Cristobal question, can I?
I think it's a very, very good question. I think it's good that we talked about everything else before this question, because for us, it's hard to see that space being it's a very different space. It's a whole different thing from like having a peek behind that curtain. It doesn't feel like the nice space that we're currently in as a community, and the creative output is suddenly so swayed by finance
and influences. I think there's a lot of disingenuous people. It's not necessarily about the art.
It's the Wild West, and I think just keeping a little eye on it, seeing where it goes, what happens. I think that's what we're doing at the moment. I think it's just
it's not anything we're chasing after.
No. It's not on the to-do list. It's very much it's so different from what our product is as well. So even though it feels like it's like this transferable thing, it really is just there's so much hype involved. There's so much
I think something good can come from it, but at the moment there are good projects out there, are good stuff, and there are people with good intentions out there, but there's a lot of there's a lot of it that feels a bit like Camden Market.
I think that it's really important for people to explore it and try and find. It's like the internet. When it started, there's bad parts of it, and there's some good to be found.
Still is.
Yeah, exactly. And
we'll send links later.
I think it's just for us as a studio, it doesn't feel like it'd be interesting to see if Animade was starting now at this part of if it wasn't. We started when Vimeo was a thing and it was big.
Before they shot themselves in the foot.
So we're now in the position where I don't feel like it's for us to be the ones like forging a path there, and it doesn't really ring true with much of what we've said up to this point in terms of what we believe in and what we're searching for in terms of the creative work that we're doing. But I do think in general, like blockchain and Web3 and things in that area, something's going to come from it. It would be interesting to see where we end up in 10 years' time, and trying to make sure we don't miss that opportunity to get on board when it's something is right and something feels good for Animade. I think that's one thing that we need to be conscious of. So in that sense, it's like keeping an eye on it, but not feeling like we need to get caught up too heavily in the hype, potentially.
So 4,000 cowboy icons is not on the cards yet.
Next year. No, it's really, yeah, I don't know what we would, if we wanted to make some quick buck, then potentially we could do that and leverage that, but I don't know how it would make everyone feel, including us.
Yeah, I guess that's the tricky part, is especially when you've got like a company's reputation on the line as well, how it would potentially affect it. Because I guess, you know, you could start an alias and do whatever as an individual, and it wouldn't come back to a company, or it's, you know, you can just start another alias and then do something else kind of thing. But as a company, it has a 11-year history.
Yeah.
You can't really just be frivolous.
Are you aware of any commercial animation studios that have been particularly, I guess,
into it
about this stuff?
I know a couple, but I don't really want to mention.
There is quite a few, but there's
a lot of exploration from companies for sure.
Yeah, but there is I forgot the name now. One of the big in America, they even have an NFT place on the website as well. I think in America they're pushing more on that side as well. And I've been talking
Animation studio,
yeah. And it's like I'm gonna find a look after, but it's one of the big one. You know, it took like a big studio. You know,
I mean, a lot of companies are looking into it. You know, it wouldn't surprise me if Disney put out some stuff that are NFTs, and obviously you got all the stuff with the NFL and various sports events too. So it wouldn't really surprise me. Christopher says Yum Yum. Yeah, that's right. Yum Yum are doing a PPF project, aren't they? From what I remember.
Yeah, I mean,
and Marcus Motion as well. He's just done quite.
Exactly. I think with that, it's been interesting. I think for like having my head like halfway into some of the stuff going on with the Random Character Collective, it's been kind of interesting seeing how it's like fueled and what I don't know. And for me personally, I just found it there's so much hype. There's so much like constant social engagement that just for my own, I had to get Twitter off my phone or stop following those things because it just pulls you in. And I think that it's interesting because for some people in their careers, and that's what they want to, it works for them. And
it's a younger generation thing in some regards, because like when we were like 10 years ago, and I don't know, I'm projecting a little bit here, but when you guys were all the same age, we had way more energy for this stuff, like internet and social media. Okay, yeah, fine, I can do it, put it online. Whereas now everything's like, I just want to sit in front of the TV and watch some crap that's not Coco Melon. Whereas as disposable energy anymore.
There's a certain extent of, you know, it's always been a thing to do a looping something and put it online as a GIF, and
true.
Now you can mint it and sell it. And I think that for people starting out, that's probably a really good way for them to.
I mean, I guess it's better than Giphy stealing it.
Yeah, I mean, it's.
But I think, just to reiterate what Tom said, we're looking at what we want to forge ahead with as a studio, and it doesn't really align. You know, I think that the way that we're all about kind of wanting to tell stories and building IP. Maybe there's, you know, you could do that by dressing up a walk cycle however many times in different clothing, and like this is IP. I mean, it all is IP, but I think that, you know, we're looking at things like you know, from the beginning, the cowboy and how that became short pieces of film and a game and just various bits of kind of communication that came out of the studio, and we love that because of that kind of flexibility there. It feels like if, you know, to get into it seriously with the NFT thing, it's just like, just got to keep doing this and keep building the hype and getting into that community. And it's all, it's not really aligning with us.
And I think the other thing that you touched on earlier said there's a responsibility, right? We've been going for 11 years. We do engage with our community. We do have a responsibility to our team. We're mindful of our team and how they feel about these things, but we're also mindful of like, these aren't all success stories either. So for us to get involved in something like that and to maybe have some responsibility in it affecting people negatively, that's something we really need to consider now with the legacy that we've built, whereas someone starting now can be, like you say, for one-off or for an independent or freelancer, can be a bit more maybe free with that, but we need to.
They can bounce back easier as well. Like if it doesn't work out,
Yeah.
or they lose money or whatever, you could still got like another 10 years to bounce back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think as well, it's like measuring, like what do we measure as success through a project? And in the world of NFTs, it's very obvious what that success is. It's like monetary, it's like hype and drive to sell those for as much as you can. And that's like, I guess coming from a place where Instagram is all about the likes, and it is a kind of progression of that. But just that whole idea of Instagram being about the likes, that we were finding that as our goal as a studio was kind of warping what we did even 5 years ago, because we suddenly, oh, hang on, we need to get more followers, we need to get more likes. And suddenly it was twisting what we were doing as creatives to do that. And in the same respect, the NFTs is doing that again. It's like pushing it towards this output that is an abstraction of just monetary gain, rather than saying, oh, it's a really great piece of motion or a really great piece of animation and storytelling. I mean,
you can't say those monkeys are great pieces of art. It's just all flex.
I mean, there's some great stuff out there as well. This is where it's so tricky, because I don't want to say all NFTs are terrible animation, because that's not. There's some incredible work out there and some incredibly talented people doing it. It's just the motivation to do it, the drive and the actual soul of feeling like you've succeeded. Like if you make a £1 million NFT, then is that it, or are you striving for a bigger number the next time, or are you? What's the way?
I think my personal metric for success is getting my daughter asleep by 7 o'clock.
Yeah, and maybe that's the thing with like you say, James. If we were back at the beginning of Animade, we would be driven by very different things. But I'm kind of very happy that we've hit it at this stage of Animade, because we can make choices that work for our headspace, and not that aren't going to pull us into a space that is, to be quite frank, fucking bonkers. And I seriously, I tried just going, like, following some crypto and some NFT stuff for a week, and it just destroyed my whole life with my kids and with work. It was like, I was like, oh fuck, maybe this is something, maybe we should get on here. And I was like, putting that to bed and thinking like that for a bit has just,
I have to admit,
a lot better. So
on a similar line, last weekend we went away inside the countryside in the middle of nowhere, and we didn't watch any TV, barely used my phone for like 4 days, and it was super refreshing. Like just not having like the news cycle or your social media cycle, because you basically just refresh and see the same stuff over and over again to a slight variation. Yeah, and it just felt really nice.
I think that's the thing. When you've got, we all know what it's like as studios, as freelancers, as people seeing social feeds, and that you're on there trying to find inspiration, but inevitably you're going to get a stomach punch of like doubt and feeling like, oh shit, why didn't we do that? Or how have they done that? That's amazing.
You end up falling into an echo chamber as well.
Yeah, for sure.
It just becomes sort of this perpetual whirlpool of similar stuff.
Yeah.
It was quite interesting a good few years back when we had a creative Milo Target with us full time. And I was talking to him about, like why he doesn't like jump onto Instagram that much. And he's just like, I don't want to see other pieces of work that might influence my own. And, just stepping back from all of that. And that was back then. Obviously now it's a lot more vigorous in terms of people on these platforms, absorbing this stuff, and that then filters into their work. And you don't get, I guess, evolutions of styles without doing that. But at the same time, there's definitely something to be said for being like, I don't want to see any of this stuff. I want to, like you were saying, I just want to switch everything off for like a good week and refresh my brain, find inspiration from somewhere else, and something really, really great could come out of that. So I think
it's nice, like back in the day where, you know, you just found inspiration that's all around you as opposed to what's on your screen. I mean, obviously what's on your screen or what's on a blog was part of that, but I think there was a lot more of a varied input.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, it's just good. It's nice to go around, you know, and just get out of this digital world we spend so much time, you know. I think it's just starting to be, it's what you said, that it's just like we keep seeing the same thing just going over and over, you know, and so many similar stuff coming out as well, you know. And I think it's nice just take your brain out of that, you know.
With that, I really should check my Twitter. Hang on.
Just detox a little bit.
How's that NFT going?
Oh, it's building some traction.
Cool, guys. So we're getting pretty much like an hour and 10 minutes now. So I think we should start wrapping up. So should we ask last question? And there is a question on the YouTube just before we wrap up. But it's just asking more. You know, Adam is asking, apologize if that already being addressed, but are there any skill sets in motion designing industry then you think 2D, 3D generalist freelance should spend more time learning or investing? It's kind of like UI animation, Houdini style, something you see more difficult to get people, you know, hold on people.
I mean, the tough thing with that is that I wouldn't want to send anyone down a particular path, like based on what we look for. I think really understanding where your own interests lie is really, really important, because for some people, it's just animation. I just want to do animation. And maybe they've only had contact with After Effects, or maybe they've only had contact with C4D. And it's like, that's how they understand to get animation sorted. If it's animation and it's motion, I always say you're always best starting off at a really kind of base foundation level, you know, you can draw something, you can do something, just don't overreach. Don't try to kind of do it through a tool, which is just a wall of complexity anyway. So
start with a flip book.
Well, a flip book or just anything. Like there's so many incredible quick and easy like apps for your iPad now, like Rough Animator or Animatic app, stuff like that are really just quick and easy. Just start building on that base understanding of knowledge. But then it could be that you're somebody that actually is like super tech minded and you love all of that side of things. It's less about the motion, it's more about creating a beautiful render or something, in which case, jump into something that's potentially, it's whatever's most that you can get your hands on in those realms, because software is super expensive. And if you're just starting out, I don't know the best way. I couldn't advise on the best way to get hold of that stuff, really, because obviously we just pay for it.
I think it's LimeWire, is it?
Of course. Probably showing your age now, but really, I can only properly speak from like a motion perspective. That's my own personal perspective, and I definitely feel like there is a tendency for people to try to get into it via a tool which puts up that already a layer of complexity. So all of a sudden you're trying to master the tool before you master the art. And in doing so, you become more reliant on the tool to maybe fix issues that you don't necessarily fully understand. And all of a sudden, maybe, you kind of, there are simple mistakes that you can potentially make, maybe not considering like weight or form or like anticipation. All of those kind of core fundamentals of animation can kind of be missed, because maybe that tool can just do it, or maybe you just don't really understand how to achieve it, so you just use it there. So trying to strip that away and have that basic understanding first, and then bring a tool in to kind of work around that, certainly in terms of motion, I think is really, really important. But at the same time, if it's all about the tech and it's all about just like, I just want to really be great at rendering something, and there's definitely, from us as a studio standpoint, it's really hard to find, for example, really great C4D generalist people that can kind of come in and just do a really great job with character and the whole pipeline there. There's a few people that we know of and we use regularly, but it feels like there's a few people in that kind of realm. But as far as I'm aware, the people that we do use that have got to that point still have started at that base level and really kind of got good at that motion side of things. So I say that if animation's the focus, then, strip away all of these other things, wanting to kind of reach over there before you've actually perfected what's going on here, could possibly be a mistake.
Yeah, I think we've been seeing quite a lot, especially with the young generation. We're seeing more focus on software than like the principles, like understand animation, understand lighting, understand, even like with 3D, we see more and more, like even hire freelance, we notice quite a lot more people don't really understand the, like typology and things on the 3D, getting used to just buy models and doing things like that. I think what you're saying is really spot on, trying to understand the principles before to trying to focus much on the tools.
In the past, we've kind of, when hiring, we've actually asked candidates on the creative side to produce a walk cycle or bring a walk cycle that they've done before, because it's funny how something like that, an exercise like that, can be really telling to somebody's ability to have that eye for motion or that understanding of those core principles.
They talk the talk, but do they walk the walk?
Precisely. Yes.
That's what he says.
I'm sure I must have said that at the time. But yeah, I think, it's an important focus for us as a studio, as I say. And yeah, something that you're right, Diego. I think potentially, I know from it can be easy to miss. I think when I was a student, it was all about, I've got to really learn Flash because that's just seems to be what everyone's using. And I think that, again, I was overreaching to start off with, and it was a tutor that said to me, "Don't do that. Just here's a peg bar." And not that anyone would use a peg bar now, but at the time it was like, just do that. Here's some paper. Just start there.
It all started with Flash and the auto tween, didn't it? And then suddenly, yeah, everything went from there. But totally, yeah, couldn't agree more with that. Get back to the basics.
So everything was downhill from auto tween.
Yeah.
Well, unless with great power comes great responsibility.
Yeah,
so
that is true.
Know how to use the auto tween, then therefore it will be.
Cool. So I think to wrap up, James, you can ask the last question. It's your favorite question.
Oh.
What are you all wet? No. What, if Animade was on Tinder, how would you describe it? How do you describe yourself?
Now that's a problem, you see, because I never had to experience dating apps.
No,
yeah, I know.
That
Okay, we're going to have to open this to the team.
Yes,
That's a good idea.
that is a good idea.
We've never been on dating apps.
What? Oh, I like it. I'm just not going to answer the question. We're currently looking for senior creative and a creative director to join the team. That's what would be on that.
That's what's going to be on our Tinder profile.
Well, I'm swiping left on that.
Cool, guys. So just want to say thank you so much. It was really nice.
Yeah, huge thanks for joining us.
Joining us and share quite a lot of insights from you guys. It's been really inspiring.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah, thanks a lot.
Lovely.
So we've got our first live Sooner Weevil show in a couple of years from
live James May Rio in place in London here, because we've been live now, James.
Oh yeah.
Right. I just think it's been really confusing.
Our first event in 2 years.
Yeah, it's our first physical event. A friend of mine today just messaged me and said, "Fuck, man, I'm gonna pop in to just say hi." I said, "No, it's still on the YouTube today." It's a bit confused at the moment, but just to clear that, we're gonna carry on the two formats, just because the live stream on the YouTube, everyone can watch and can share with us as well. You can participate, asking questions. So we're gonna keep doing that once a month. And if originally was based on a physical show where a speaker comes, similar format, but it's more like a presentation format, and it's a network. So we're getting back to that after 2 years. So it's going to be our 13th anniversary next Tuesday on, there is a different name. It's not Cafe 1001. It's the back of 1001 at
it's got a different name now.
They rebrand through COVID called, I don't know. I need to have a look. Sorry.
Anyway, it's at the back of Cafe.
It is true, Cafe 1001.
7 p.m. Tuesday, April the 5th. So this Tuesday, and we've got Future Deluxe and Golden Wolf coming to talk about their work.
And we have DJ Divisor after spinning some vinyls or CDs. I don't know.
He uses vinyls. He normally uses vinyls. Well, a bit of a mix.
Cool. But thanks so much, guys. Was really a pleasure. And we're gonna see everyone here on the YouTube in a month's time as well. We keep everyone posted.
Yep.
Amazing. Thank
Great.
you.
Thank you.